He's won 22 Grand Slams, he's been the world #1, and he's trained thousands of players at his academy. But when Rafael Nadal speaks about a young Filipina who just won her first WTA title, the tennis world listens. And his message wasn't just a congratulations. It was a warning to everyone in Toronto. The moment the final point was won, the congratulations began pouring in, from the president of the Philippines, from boxing legend Manny Pacquiao, from fans around the world who had stayed up through the night to witness history. But one message stood above all the rest. A message from a man who knows what it takes to win on the biggest stages. A message from Rafael Nadal. Congratulations, at Alex Eala 5. What an incredible week in Washington. A well-deserved trophy for all the hard work. Congratulations to the Philippines and to the entire Rafael Nadal Academy team, Nadal wrote on social media. Those words carried more weight than any ordinary congratulatory message. Because Nadal isn't just a fan watching from afar. He's the man whose academy shaped Eala into the champion she has become. He has watched her grow from a 13-year-old girl arriving in Mallorca with a dream to a 21-year-old woman lifting a WTA 500 trophy in Washington. The 22-time Grand Slam champion has been a vocal supporter of Eala throughout her journey. He congratulated her on her Miami Open breakthrough. He celebrated her U.S. Open girls singles title. And just 8 months before her Washington triumph, he stepped onto a court with her for a training session that Eala described as a dream come true. It was an incredible pleasure to share the court with him, Eala said after that session. Training with Rafa is something people and kids can only dream of. But Nadal's message wasn't just about the past. It was about what lies ahead. When he said no one can stop her in Canada now, he wasn't just offering encouragement. He was stating a fact. The King of Clay had seen something in Eala that the rest of the tennis world was only beginning to understand. And his words carried a warning to everyone in Toronto. This 21-year-old from Manila had been forged in the fires of the Rafa Nadal Academy. She had trained alongside the best. She had learned from a legend, and she was ready to conquer the world. Nadal's endorsement of Eala isn't just a gesture of goodwill. It's a recognition of a shared journey. The Rafa Nadal Academy has been her home since 2018, a place where she refined her aggressive left-handed game, strengthened her physical fitness, and developed the mental toughness required to compete at the highest level. The foundation laid in Mallorca has now produced a WTA champion. And Nadal, who knows the value of discipline and perseverance better than almost anyone, sees in Eala the same qualities that defined his own legendary career. When he says no one can stop her now, the tennis world listens. The story of Alex Eala is not just a story of a tennis player. It is a story of sacrifice, of leaving home at 12 years old, of chasing a dream across continents. And it is a story that begins in a place called Manacor, a small town in Mallorca, Spain, where a tennis academy bears the name of the sport's most relentless champion. The journey began in 2018. Eala was just 12 years old when she left Manila for Mallorca, traveling with her brother Michael to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She joined an institution that has produced some of the most exciting young talent in tennis, a place where excellence is not just encouraged, it is demanded. I missed my family. I spent a lot of time away from my family. I missed my homeland. It was a different culture. It was different everything when I moved, Eala recalled in an interview. I did sacrifice a lot of my free time, or I guess the time that normal kids would have with friends. The sacrifices were immense. She gave up prom. She gave up teenage experiences that most people take for granted. I didn't go to prom. Never ako nagka-prom date, she admitted. But I would definitely choose the experiences I had as a kid or as a teenager over, I guess, what people would consider a normal experience. She trained for 5 years at the academy, graduating in 2023. During that time, she refined her aggressive left-handed game, strengthened her physical fitness, and developed the mental toughness required to compete at the highest level. The foundation laid in Mallorca would prove invaluable. In 2020, she won the Australian Open Junior Doubles title. In 2021, she won the Junior Roland Garros Doubles title. And in 2022, she captured the U.S. Open Junior Singles title, becoming one of the Academy's first Grand Slam champions. But the most memorable moment of her time in Mallorca came in late 2025. After 12 years of dreaming, Eala finally shared a court with Rafael Nadal himself. Training with Rafa is something people and kids can only dream of. It was an incredible pleasure to share the court with him, Eala said. This is the first time I've ever hit with him in my life, and it's just a memory that will last forever. Nadal, the 22-time Grand Slam champion, gave her technical tips on her forehand and other small advice that she would carry with her into tournaments. He watched her play, offered his insights, and treated her with the same respect he would give any top player. The moment was captured on video and shared by the Academy, a passing of the torch from the greatest clay court player in history to a young woman who would soon make history herself. Eala's coach, Joan Bosch, who also works within the Rafa Nadal Academy structure, has been instrumental in her development. Bosch, a former player who once helped former world number 1 Carlos Moya, has been Eala's confidant and coach for the past 3 years. He says that I just have to keep going, because if I'm there for every ball, I will have my chances. Eala said, and I did. Like always, he's right. I think it helps me feel like I'm not alone on court. The training in Manacor prepared her for the moment that would change everything. In March 2025, Eala made the Miami Open semifinals, beating former world number 1 Iga Swiatek along the way. In June 2025, she won her first WTA title in Guadalajara. In June 2026, she won the Birmingham Open, her first title on grass. And in August 2026, she defeated the world number 3 in Washington to claim her first WTA 500 title. But for Eala, the journey was never just about the trophies. It was about representing her country. Lubos kong ipinagmamalaki ang pagiging Pilipino. I carry the flag with me wherever I go. And I am a firm believer that where you come from is a big part of who you are, she said at Malacañang Palace. The girl who left Manila at 12 years old had become a champion. And the legend who had watched her grow from a young girl to a Grand Slam junior champion to a WTA title holder now had a message for the world. No one can stop her in Canada now, Nadal said. His words echoed across the tennis world and sent a clear message to everyone in Toronto. Alex Eala was just getting started. The moment Alex Eala's name appeared on the entry list, the National Bank Open in Toronto was transformed. Not just in terms of ticket sales, but in terms of atmosphere, culture, and the very identity of the tournament itself. The numbers alone tell an astonishing story. According to Carl Hale, the tournament director, tickets for Eala's second-round match sold out within 30 minutes of being announced. I think her fans were specifically waiting to see when she played, Hale said. The demand was so overwhelming that organizers had to make a decision they had never made before. They moved Eala's match from the 2,800-seat grandstand to center court, the main stadium with 12,500 seats. We can't put her on there because she probably sold upwards of 5,000 tickets, Hale told the Tennis Channel. Our stadium has 1,077 seats, and the Filipino community for months now has been calling in, asking when does she play? Who does she play? Where does she play? The tournament adapted in ways no one expected. For the first time in tournament history, traditional Filipino dishes were added to the food offerings. Chicken adobo was served at the changeover kitchen, a decision that Hale admitted was extraordinary. It's the first time I've ever heard of a tournament halfway through adding a food offering just because of a player, he said. Beyond the Pinoy crowd, Toronto was swept by Eala mania. The flags waved. The chants of "Eala" echoed through Sobeys Stadium. And the atmosphere was unlike anything the Canadian Open had ever experienced. But the transformation wasn't just about the atmosphere, it was about the numbers. According to Tennis Connected, Eala's Wednesday night session was the first to sell out since Serena Williams' farewell tour in 2022. The outlet reported, "Interesting fact. Wednesday night is sold out in Toronto because of Alexandra Eala. From reliable sources, I can tell you that only Serena has done that in the last 20 years. Not even Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, or Novak Djokovic have sold out an opening Wednesday night." Hale, who had been running the tournament for decades, called Eala an absolute blessing to the sport of tennis at our tournament. He added, "It's amazing to have her here playing singles and doubles with Venus Williams." Eala's match against Parks began in a full stadium. The opening night, the first time Eala has played on center court at the Canadian Open, marked a new chapter in her career and solidified her status as one of the biggest draws in the sport. Her victory, a gritty 6-1, 4-6, 6-2 performance, only added to the legend. After the match, she expressed her gratitude in her native tongue, a gesture that resonated with fans across Toronto and beyond. "Kumusta kayo, Toronto? Proud na proud na proud na proud ako na maging Pinoy," she declared. Rafael Nadal's words had echoed across the tennis world. No one can stop her in Canada now. But words are just words until they are backed up on the court. And Alex Eala delivered exactly that. The stage was set at Sobeys Stadium in Toronto. 10,000 fans packed into center court. The same stadium that had sold out within 30 minutes of her match being announced. The Filipino flags waved in every section. The chants of "Yala, Yala" echoed through the night. And standing across the net was Alicia Parks, the same American who had broken Eala's heart at the Australian Open 7 months earlier. That match in Melbourne had been a turning point. Eala had won the first set 6-0, only to watch Parks storm back to win 6, 6-3, 6-2. The defeat was brutal. But it was also a lesson. A reminder that nothing is guaranteed in tennis, that momentum can shift in an instant, and that champions are defined not by their losses, but by how they respond to them. Eala had been on a revenge tour ever since. According to Rappler, she had avenged losses to the last 6 opponents who had previously beaten her. Now, Parks was the 7th name on that list. The match began with Eala in complete control. She yielded only 1 game in the first set, looking as confident as she had in Washington just days earlier. She was dictating points, moving Parks from side to side, and punishing the Americans' errors with clinical precision. The scoreline read 6-1, and the crowd was in full voice. But the second set was a reminder of why Parks is such a dangerous opponent. The American, who owns a WTA singles title and possesses the firepower to trouble anyone on tour, raised her intensity. The two traded games, with Eala holding serve in the 8th game to tie things up at 4-4. But Parks finished off the set with back-to-back games, winning 6-4 and forcing a decider. This was the moment that defined the match. 7 months ago, Eala had lost her composure in this exact situation. She had watched her 6-0 lead evaporate, her confidence waver, and her dreams of a Grand Slam debut victory slip away. But this was a different Eala. This was a player who had just won her first WTA title. This was a player who had beaten the world number 3 in a rain-delayed final. This was a player who had learned from her mistakes. In the third set, Eala won the first 2 games before Parks forced the set back to square one at 2-2. But then Eala found another gear, the same gear that had carried her through the toughest draw in Washington. She won game after game, her ground strokes finding every corner, her movement quick and precise, her belief unshakable. The numbers told the story of the battle. Parks had 10 aces to Eala's 2, and punched in 34 winners against the Filipinas' 12. But Parks also committed 56 unforced errors to Eala's 26, a testament to the Filipinas' consistency and patience under pressure. Eala had outlasted her opponent by simply staying steady and forcing Parks to take risks that didn't pay off. With Eala serving in the 8th game, she blanked Parks, finishing off the match with a beautiful swing that the American could not return inbounds. The final score, 6-1, 4-6, 6-2. Eala dropped her racket and raised her arms in triumph. The crowd erupted. The flags waved higher than ever, and the revenge tour continued. She had avenged her Australian Open loss, improved to 10-4 in 3-set matches at tour level this season, and extended her streak to 10 consecutive wins when claiming the opening set. But the victory was about more than just revenge. It was about validation. Rafael Nadal had said no one could stop her in Canada. And after this performance, it was hard to argue with the King of Clay. Eala had already improved her record against top 10 opponents to 9-4 in the past year, including 7 wins in 2026 alone. She had already proven she could beat the best in the world. Now, she had proven she could handle the pressure of being the hunted. The player everyone wanted to beat. Her post-match interview captured the moment perfectly. In Tagalog, she greeted the crowd. Kumusta kayo, Toronto? Iwagaywe niyo nga yung mga bandila niyo patingin. Then came the words that would echo across social media. Proud na proud na proud na proud na proud ako maging Pinoy. Maraming salamat mga kababayan, mahal ko kayong lahat. The performance that backed up Nadal's words was complete. And Eala was now one step closer to proving that no one could stop her in Canada. The words had echoed across the tennis world. Rafael Nadal, the 22-time Grand Slam champion, had spoken. And when the King of Clay says no one can stop you, the tennis world listens. But Nadal's message wasn't just a congratulatory note. It was a warning, a declaration that the young woman who had trained at his academy since she was 13 had finally arrived. And the proof was already unfolding in Toronto. The King's endorsement congratulations at Alex Eala 05. What an incredible week in Washington. A well-deserved trophy for all the hard work, Nadal wrote on social media. Congratulations to the Philippines and to the entire Rafael Nadal Academy team. Those words carried more weight than any ordinary congratulatory message. Nadal isn't just a fan watching from afar. He is the man whose academy shaped Eala into the champion she has become. He has watched her grow from a 13-year-old girl arriving in Mallorca with a dream to a 21-year-old woman lifting a WTA 500 trophy in Washington. Eala joined the Rafa Nadal Academy in 2018 and graduated in 2023, spending years refining her aggressive left-handed game, strengthening her physical fitness, and developing the mental toughness required to compete at the highest level. The foundation laid in Mallorca has now produced a WTA champion. The special connection between the two was cemented in late 2025, when Eala finally shared a court with Nadal himself. Training with Rafa is something people and kids can only dream of, Eala said after the session. This is the first time I've ever hit with him in my life, and it's just a memory that will last forever. Nadal gave her technical tips on her forehand and other small advice that she would carry with her into tournaments. The Canadian Open transformation. The moment Eala's name appeared on the entry list for the National Bank Open in Toronto, the tournament was transformed. Tickets for her second-round match sold out within 30 minutes of being announced. The demand was so overwhelming that organizers had to move her match from the 2,800-seat grandstand to center court, the main stadium with 12,100 seats. We can't put her on there because she probably sold upwards of 5,000 tickets, tournament director Carl Hale admitted. The tournament adapted in ways no one expected, adding chicken adobo to the menu for the first time in its history. The chants of Eala, Eala, echoed through Sobeys Stadium, and the atmosphere was unlike anything the Canadian Open had ever experienced. According to Tennis Connected, Eala's Wednesday night session was the first to sell out since Serena Williams' farewell tour in 2022. The outlet reported, interesting fact. Wednesday night is sold out in Toronto because of Alexandra Eala. From reliable sources, I can tell you that only Serena has done that in the last 20 years. The performance that backs it up, Eala delivered exactly what the crowd had come to see. She avenged her Australian Open loss to Alyssa Park with a gritty 6-1, 4-6, 6-2 victory, advancing to the third round of the Canadian Open. She dominated the opening set, yielded only one game, and when Parks fought back in the second, Eala found another gear in the decider. The numbers told the story of the battle. Eala was clinical behind her first serve, converting 5 of 14 breakpoint opportunities, and improved to 10-4 in 3-set matches at tour level this season. The win extended her streak to 10 consecutive victories when claiming the opening set. She became the first Filipino player, male or female, to win a main draw match at the tournament. But the victory was about more than revenge. It was about validation. Rafael Nadal had said no one could stop her in Canada. And after this performance, it was hard to argue with the King of Clay. What lies ahead, Eala is now set to face American Caddy McNally, the world number 70, in the round of 32. McNally pulled off a stunning upset of reigning Wimbledon champion Linda Noskova, clearing the path for Eala. The win could send Eala to the fourth round of a WTA 1000 event for the first time since her Miami Open breakthrough. Beyond that, the road remains treacherous. A potential quarterfinal showdown with Coco Gauff and a semifinal clash with world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka loom if the seeds hold. But Nadal's words have given Eala something beyond strategy or tactics. They have given her the ultimate endorsement from the sport's most relentless champion. The girl who left Manila at 12 years old has become a champion. The legend who watched her grow now says no one can stop her. And the world is watching to see how far she can go. What happens when the King of Clay says no one can stop you? What happens when a young Filipina carries the hopes of a nation and the endorsement of a legend? And when Alex Eala steps onto the court in Toronto, will she prove that Rafael Nadal's words were prophecy or just praise? The answers are being written. But one thing is certain, no one can stop her now. Rafael Nadal, the 22-time Grand Slam champion, broke his silence on Alex Eala after her historic Washington triumph. No one can stop her in Canada now, his message suggested. And Eala backed up his words with a gritty victory over Alicia Parks in Toronto, advancing to the third round of the Canadian Open in front of a sold-out crowd.
The girl who trained at Nadal's academy since age 13 has arrived. And the world is watching. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.
We bring you the biggest stories in tennis, drama, and emotion every single week. Don't miss what happens next.